Please rise for the pledge.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilwoman, please lead us in prayer.
Heavenly Father, you have entrusted us to be stewards of our community. We ask you to guide our hearts and minds as we make decisions that will affect our residents. We ask you to bless our community with peace and prosperity, and we pray that we will be ever mindful of all the needs of each resident. Father, we ask you to bless the members of our military, past and present, and we thank you for giving the courage to serve. Thank you for the many blessings that you have given us, and keep us ever mindful of them. In Jesus' name, amen.
Well, Mr. Babick will not be here tonight. He has a family emergency, and I'm not really sure where Jack's at, so.
Most of it is excused.
Second.
Bennett,
Yes.
Richards,
Yes.
McKinney,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
and Schott.
Yes.
Minutes?
Motion.
Second.
Bennett,
Yes.
Richards,
Yes.
McKinney,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
and Schott.
Abstain.
Bill?
Motion on the bills.
Bennett,
Yes.
Richards,
Yes.
McKinney,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
and Schott.
Yes.
There's no hourly timer for it. You guys have one?
I didn't
I didn't
see
see mine.
Oh.
That's
I
all right.
have it, you can have it next time.
Okay.
I didn't make copies, that's sorry.
Fireman's time.
Motion on the fireman's time.
Second.
Bennett,
Yes.
Richards,
Yes.
McKinney,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
and Schott.
Yes.
All right, Mrs. Wrench, you are up.
I will begin working with Amy on the 2022 budget. So any department that you foresee being Spidey that's going to be expensing projects out, and see what we can afford, put them in the budget. I hope to have it ready to read the next meeting. We're waiting on the bank approval for the documentation we sent to Apple Creek Bank in setting up the employees with direct deposit. We should be hearing from them whether everything was approved or if corrections are needed by Thursday. We're planning on going live with the bank on the paycheck of July 6th, which is the 4th is Sunday, the 5th is Monday, we're off. We will do the payroll the 6th, the employees will get paid on the 8th. Once we know for sure where we're at this week, we'll know whether we're going live or not.
So that's what month is that when you do that on the 8th then? July?
July,
Did you already send mine? Did my bank say anything?
we're waiting for it to come back. It takes them three
Okay.
days, and the third day is this Wednesday, which I'm giving until Thursday.
Okay.
We did have a couple people that didn't know their bank information or had errors in it. Amy fixed those, and we're waiting now to see if the .00 transaction goes through. So everybody will probably see a transaction on their account.
Do you
where-
need me to call the bank to make sure it gets fair?
No,
Okay?
no. If we hear nothing, we're assuming you're okay. We have the legislation to read. We have the third reading of ordinance number 2107, an ordinance to authorize the mayor of the Village of Beach City, Ohio to execute a license agreement for use of poles with Spectrum Mid-America LLC.
Motion passed.
Second.
That was Richards?
Yes.
Thank you. Bennett,
Yes.
Richards,
Yes.
McKinney,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
and Schott.
Yes.
We have the first reading of an ordinance number 2108. It's an ordinance authorizing advertisement for bids and sale of personal property no longer needed for any municipal use of the Village of Beach City, Ohio, where it lists the three items specifically: a 1988 Case International, a 1995 International Dump Plow Truck, and a 1981 Elgin Pelican Street Sweeper. Be your first reading.
Did we figure out we can advertise that without putting it in the newspaper?
I have not yet. I also will have, at next meeting, some comparisons of previous sales, so council can decide like what they want as far as bid prices to start at.
Excellent.
We have the, it's the first reading. Please tell me you have a copy of ordinance 2109?
Yes.
Okay, good. An ordinance establishing village positions and wages for employees of the Village of Beach City. That should say Ohio there.
Now, this one here, this is for the wastewater.
Just-
He's wanting to put this in the paper. Do we have to have this approved before he puts it in the paper?
I would have it approved and ready to go, because once we get it in the paper, or if people, actually, if they watch the tape or listen to the, read the minutes, they're gonna start, maybe wanting to apply or be questioning things. That way VA Spivey will know what he's working with.
Okay, and you was wanting to put this in as soon as possible, weren't you?
Yes, so we can start the advertisements for the position.
Okay, I'll make a motion to suspend the rules.
Second?
Bennett,
Yes.
Richards, McKinney,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
and Schott.
Yes.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Bennett,
Yes.
Richards,
Yes.
McKinney,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
and Schott.
Yes.
And then, I believe the last thing I have is resolution 2105 will be your first reading. A resolution to authorize the village administrator to execute a contract with American Transmission System Incorporated for an electric load study. Now, I gave you the resolution. Did you need the paperwork? I didn't give it to you. A copy of the paperwork that was provided to me.
My question is, have we had this done before?
Jim, we're not real, isn't this one that they're gonna do?
This is a load study.
That's
This
what I
actually-
mean, is
I-
it something we've
No,
never
this-
done?
I don't think we've ever done this.
Yeah, cause it's not something I'm familiar with.
This is something that's gonna end up going to Solar Planet. Solar Planet's gonna
Oh,
end
the
up
load
paying-
study,
Yeah,
when, how
For
much
that.
our load is,
for that,
different times of the day,
yeah.
things.
It's our whole system. First Energy wants to do the load study for our system. It gives them a baseline then that they can go off of for our solar system. Because they think it's backfeeding onto them, which is illegal. So they're doing the load study to get a baseline, and then they'll determine how many megawatts our solar system puts out. And then that determines what we need for backfeed prevention into First Energy's system. So this is step one to preventing First Energy from shutting us off.
But wouldn't Solar Planet have to reimburse them for this?
Yes, Solar Planet is going to fund this rate study, or flow study, or
Right,
load
because
study, I'm sorry.
if they don't, we have two options, either Solar Planet does this, or they shut the town down. So we said, well, if Solar Planet doesn't wanna do it,
No, but
Too bad.
Solar Planet's paying for
We're
this?
gonna,
Yes.
yeah, they will pay for it, yep.
But we gotta pay for it to change it if we're feeding back,
That will be negotiated later if there's a feedback issue.
okay?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is like, what we've been doing this for over a year now,
it's been, yeah, an ongoing thing
yeah,
with First Energy.
with solar
And
planet
this is the
too,
first
yeah.
I've heard of it.
Oh, no, oh, the solar planet thing.
No, the solar, yeah, I
Yeah,
know,
remember with the back, yeah,
I didn't realize there was an issue with it back feeding.
oh, yeah, that's what that
We
was,
had trouble with that.
Because it's producing more than what
right.
we need here.
Right.
See, when it was built, it was supposed to have that in there, and for some reason, that was not done.
It's amazing.
Isn't that amazing?
Well, it's amazing how a solar
Uh-huh,
company is so shady.
yeah,
That's an oxymoron.
it is, I know, it's,
Now, this second one, I can say was shady.
Well, definitely, yeah, but we got around them,
Yeah,
didn't we?
thank you.
yeah,
Just try it, buddy.
so yeah, so that's not really, I think that's just more of a formality, so.
Thank you for clearing it up, everybody.
And thank you, that's all I have.
Very good, all right.
That's it?
Quick, so I can't, are you, is it Matt?
Brett.
Brett, okay, I get you guys all mixed, I got so many people coming in. Mr. Brett will be here to talk about Quicksaw, about the rate study.
I don't want to take up much of your time, but I'm here to answer any questions or address any concerns or issues you might have. And then maybe just mention a couple other things going on. But our feeling was immediately, you should replace all your meters. You're losing between 40 and 50% of your water that you're not selling, but you're paying for. And that's probably due to bad meters, old meters, they wear, they no longer work. So our recommendation would be to replace that. Then you might actually know what your revenue is based on your expenditure. Because you're paying for twice as much water as you're selling. The rates that are included in that are under the assumption you're going to proceed with a new water treatment plant. If you don't do that, you don't need to raise the rates as much. We looked into buying water from Wilmette, and the cost of the water line and them expanding their treatment plant would be more expensive than building a plant here in the village.
Have you ever seen any new up-to-date plants that's more automatic, where you don't have to hire 2.5 men to run it and everything? Have you ever run into
We
this?
just finished a project, it went online January of 20, and it pretty much runs itself.
Where's that at?
Brilliant, just south of Steubenville on Route 7 on the
Okay.
river. And it is probably 2.5 times bigger than what your plant would be, but it's totally automated. It's an iron and manganese removal plant, which you would have.
What were you talking, 2.5 million, 2 million?
Yeah, it was about that. And Nashville just had a study to have a new water treatment plant, and theirs was just over 1 million, I believe.
Where's the other places around here or out of state that has the same kind of plant? Because I brought it up for a lot of times. I
They're,
knew,
they're all over. West Salem has a similar plant. New Waterford has a brand new plant. Trying to think. There, I can get the list for you.
no, that's okay.
They're all over the state. It's a very common, what we'd recommend is a pressure filter system. And your size system would be a skid system where all the piping and the filters come on a skid. You just bring it in, set it in the building, so you don't have to plumb it together. So you.
So everything's put in there automatically, the chemicals and everything else?
Yes, but you have to change chemicals. But when the chemicals are fed based on your well pump running and your high service pumps running. And when the tank gets empty, you'd be probably feeding sodium hypo out of a 50-gallon drum. And that sits on a scale. And when that scale reads empty, then it can send a signal to the operator saying, change barrels.
Do we have to have this plant hooked up to the sewer like they talked about before? To get rid of the,
The red water, you have to backwash about every 2 days. I should also say Brewster has an identical plant right up the street, and Wilmette probably does, I haven't seen theirs. But you do have to backwash about every 2 days, and that water is about as dark as that door. And if you have a sanitary sewer, EPA would want you to send it there. There's an option where you can send it to a red water filter, which is a sand filter pit. Basically, you drain into that, and then it just collects on that. Then the only way you get rid of it off of that is go down there.
do you determine also how many wells we gotta have and compared to what capacity we're putting out?
We'd have to do a well study. EPA will require that.
Because we got wells out there, but it's just too much money to run everything in here and run a sewer line out to it on the farm.
No, we're not going out there.
Oh, I was just bringing up what we.
Right. So, yes, you can have a red water filter. Nashville has one. Nashville has the same type of system. And they dump it to the red water filter. That red water filter then filters that brown colored water, and it drains to the creek. So you bypass the sanitary sewer system.
So it's good enough that you can dump it in your creek then?
Once it goes through that filter,
Yeah, okay.
you'd have to get a discharge permit from surface water.
Okay. So we could actually dump it in the storm sewer then, the water.
It would have to go through the red water filter
Through
first.
the filter first.
Yes. And then discharge to the creek. Or storm sewer, if the storm sewer's closer to the creek.
That's what I was thinking about, because I didn't know where we were gonna put it at.
Right. In the case of Brilliant, Twin City also has a very similar, much larger, but in the case of Brilliant, our backwash is going to the sanitary, but their sanitary couldn't handle the full load. So we're going out in a large pipe, and we're using the pipe as storage, and then we have a 6-inch orifice going into the manhole. So we have a 40-inch pipe storing that backwash, and then it drains slowly out.
They can't get out nowhere else until you're ready.
Well, yeah, until it can flow through that 6-inch pipe. Twin City has a standpipe they backwash to. And it stays in that standpipe, and they release it overnight when water usage is low.
That sounds good.
So, water treatment plants are my,
Baby.
yeah. That's what I get excited about. So, Quick Solid is working on a pavement job for you, and we're waiting on the contractor to get us a schedule when they'll be out here. I know our funding administrator is looking into funds for the meter replacement. Unfortunately, there's no grant money available for meter replacement. There's lowest interest loans, but no grant money. And then you have a sanitary lift station that needs to be rehabbed and coated and pumps replaced, and then a storm sewer pump station that needs.
So before we could do anything, we needed to do the meters first.
For the drinking water, yeah, I would recommend replacing the meters, which would be maybe 300, maybe 400
Do we
bucks a
have
house.
Romont do the same thing that we'd have to do then?
I don't know. what
Because
the
if their
water
meters
costs.
are, of course, the only thing we dump in there is the sewer comes to us.
Yeah. And you're basing the sewer flow on what?
Water usage.
You don't have a flow meter on the incoming pipe?
Wilmot makes their own water,
Yes.
and we read their meters to charge them for sewer, and then we give the meter readings to Wilmot so they can charge for
Okay,
water.
so you're charging based on your water use.
Yeah,
And if they're, well, the thing is, their meters would be reading low if anything. So if they're reading low, then you're not charging enough because it,
I know what you're talking about, I'm laughing.
And one problem we got 5 different type, 5 or 6 different types of meters too.
Right.
We have them all the same. So that's kind of like.
yeah, I spoke with Brewster about their meter replacement, and Jim knows all about it because he was there in the setup, and they're installing all the meters themselves, which is probably, the cost is probably 50% of the cost of the meter for installation, so you'd be saving a lot on that if you did it in-house. So,
I noticed you had in here, cost for the purchase price of the property. Did you, have a location,
we have not done a site study.
that's just an estimate?
Yes, based on what we've seen. One thing, there's a lot of upfront work you have to do before you can build a plant. Ohio EPA drinking water calls it a general plan, which is a report. The wastewater calls it a preliminary engineering report. Drinking water calls it a general plan. But there you have to identify locations, you have to have your well logs, you have to have, in your well logs, you have to have a lot of water quality analysis done. You have to have an alternative, at minimum 3 alternatives to what you're proposing. And one alternative would be continue buying from Canton. Second alternative would be buy from Wilmette. Third alternative would be to build a new plant. So those reports are usually about 1.5 inches thick of a lot of different information. But part of that would be property, site study, and the well study.
So if we already have the property, then whatever's in there
Right.
must be part of it. Plus also we could probably get some grants too, couldn't we? Or maybe not grants for homes or.
I believe you'd qualify for CDBG grants, depending on how worthy, but they want to see the project shovel ready.
Yeah.
And they're up to 500,000 in grant. Unfortunately, you're not qualified for ARC. Stark County isn't. It kind of cuts off in Tusk County, Appalachia.
Salzburg was able to get that on another thing.
Right, but you have Ohio EPA loans, you have USDA rural development grants or loans. Their loans are usually at a higher percent interest rate than Ohio EPA's.
Most of your wells around here, what are you digging at? Because we got the big Indian down there, we just, like the city can't do anything to use it, I don't think. They got 5 wells, but I don't think none of them's in the big Indian.
They're not producing.
Yeah, the 5 wells produced down on 21.
Yeah.
I was told that they never went down that far.
Well, the wells along the Tusk River aren't all that deep.
I heard there wasn't.
Because a lot of the soil around here is sandy,
Oh, I got one behind that place that's only 100 feet.
but what's it producing? I mean, I got-
Nothing right now, I don't even,
Oh, I was gonna, yeah, but it wouldn't be able to produce, enough for 430 connections.
we had one out here, it wasn't very deep, and we used it for years.
Yeah.
Did you ever find out, Jim, or hear anybody say how deep that well was?
I did not.
We used it for years. Some of the best water we ever had. And that wasn't down in the Big Indian.
No, and all you did with that was sequester it. you know, disinfect it too, but, yeah.
Well, you answered some of the questions anyway.
EPA will require at a minimum filtration for any new plant. They're not gonna allow you just to put a well and disinfect it. That new rule came out 2 years ago, maybe 3.
18, I think it was.
Yeah. So, and they keep coming out with more rules. Hopefully, you know, the PFAS stuff won't affect you in the groundwater. And they're finding it there though.
If we went into the meters, Jim, was we gonna buy enough for the whole town or just buy what we could put in, we'll say in a month's time? And how long would it take maybe to do all them, if we did it that way?
It would take us some time to switch them out, because that requires us getting into residences. But there are some meters that are newer meters that I haven't confirmed it with the gentleman yet, but he says it's a good possibility those meters would work with a new meter reading system. We would just have to change some wiring. So there could be a large portion of the meters that are newer that we would not have to change on the inside. And being like Brett said, we would be doing all that work ourselves, we would save considerably. So my best guesstimate would be, let's say we replace 300 of our water meters. And in this process, I'm also gonna include the electric meters. So we have one meter reading system that does both of our utilities, well, actually all 3 of our utilities. One meter reading system, one set of meters, requiring us to replace electric and water meters, doing it one lump sum, one shot, and then everything is newer. We're starting it, you know, with a baseline, and we know where we actually are because we will be a lot more accurate.
And it would probably be our recommendation, there's AMR and AMI. Brewster has an AMI. AMR is strictly automatic meter reading. That's all it does is read your meters. AMI has some intelligence to it, it collects data and it provides you information on how water's being used. It will send alarms to you if there's unusual activity with the water somewhere. It will notify you. It identifies leaks, and so it can help you save operational costs.
Is there any other places we might be losing that water besides through the meters?
Well,
Because we had it down pretty good for a while.
you had a leak study done recently, and they identified, I think, 3 hydrants, 4 hydrants?
3 hydrants,
And 1 pipe.
1 service.
Yeah. So, we don't believe the water's being lost through leaks. That much water would be bubbling up out of the ground.
I know when that happens because I yell if I see it. Huh. Well, we gotta do something because we don't, what's the lowest that normal towns get down to for water leakage? 5%, 6%?
Yeah, that would be low end. You want to maintain under 15%. And that's what, if you're under 15, Ohio EPA doesn't bother you about it. Once you're over that, then they start writing you nasty letters. And Jim got one of those recently.
And it was all your fault, right, Jim?
Walked into that one.
Is there anything else? I said I didn't want to take up much time.
That's all right, you have it, friend.
Hey, I'm glad that they brought up about the new plant. Go ahead.
I'm gonna have questions, as far as some of the accounting and the finances. Who do I wanna talk to at your office? Do I wanna talk to you? I wanna talk to someone about the meters and, the financing for plant.
That would be me. Yeah. You need a card?
I got your number.
Oh, boy,
My deepest sympathy to you.
you got everybody's number.
Look,
I have a question for you. I know when Greg was here, he was gung ho on Strasburg.
Yeah,
So
that
that's
fell-
completely
that fell
dropped
through.
out,
Yep.
okay. Well, I noticed it wasn't mentioned
Yeah.
here, so I figured it.
Yeah, we-
yeah.
That one sort of backed up
Yeah,
on us for some
we
reason.
did preliminary design on that
Did you?
and a cost estimate on it.
Okay.
And it was more than from Wilmette, but Strasburg hasn't been returning any calls about the project,
Yeah,
so.
so,
Well, if we hooked up to them, we would have crossed 2 rivers.
It
To
was
get it in
expensive,
here.
yeah,
I said it when they even looked at that.
yeah.
The
But it
the
was-
only really good thing about us having our own plant would be that we'd be in control of it. Whereas Canton, right now, we know they're going up 20%, and God only knows what they're gonna do after that.
Yeah.
But they're
Well,
gonna constantly keep rebuilding their infrastructure, they even said that.
and Canton is staying on top of all the regulations, and they're doing a good job with their water department, but they charge non-residents or wholesale customers a lot more. And I used to be in negotiation down south, and the purchasing community worked out that their rates could not be raised unless the city's rates were raised, and they couldn't be raised any more than the city's
Right.
rates, so they were tied together. Unfortunately, you don't have that kind of agreement, nor will you probably ever,
They wouldn't give it to us, probably.
Nope.
until you have a threat of, in Montgomery County, was buying everything from the city of Dayton. And they designed a brand-new water plant, and lo and behold, in the middle of the design, Dayton dropped the rates drastically, saying, we don't want to lose you as a customer. So,
No, they got what happened.
well, maybe with the fear of a new plant, Canton will come back and say, you
They
know.
wouldn't trust. I'd rather be in control if it's possible.
You can call me anytime. If I can't help you, I'll find the right person that can.
Canton had their own wells up at Canton. Then they come out here and they dug these, I watched them put the line in. It saved them. They keep the companies up there that need water,
Yeah.
and steel plants need water.
Well, and they're selling water, just 3 years ago, they started like a 5 or 8 mile transmission that had pick up everybody to east of them.
East Canton was one of them.
Yeah.
Well, they've been supplying East Canton for years.
They're going to Canton South now, so they're spreading out.
So, I mean, I'll stay as long as you want, but if,
I'm good.
No, I'm good.
okay,
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
you're welcome. My
I'll have your
pleasure.
name, I'll have your name on there next time.
We all got his number.
Well,
Right.
yeah, I was on vacation last week too, so I didn't have a chance to touch base with Jim, and so we finally got together this afternoon.
What, did you go with them?
I made it as far as Nashville. Have a good night.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brett.
Take care, John.
Well, since we haven't seen you for a while, Bill.
You want me to go
jump on
first?
up here, buddy, and let us know what we're doing here, chief.
All right. Well, I apologize for not being around.
You gotta work.
Timken's been working me 12-hour shifts and makes it hard to put in 12 there and try to put in what I need to down here too, so. But I assure you, everything's up to date, nothing's been lagging, I do it when I can do it, and unfortunately, sometimes it just don't jive with council hours, that's all, so. So total calls year to date, we're at 154 calls. As of the same date last year, we were at 123. We've been kind of busy. Our mutual aid summary, we give mutual aid to Brewster 2 times, we give mutual aid to Dundee 1 time. We received mutual aid from Brewster 4, we received mutual aid from Wilmot 1, and received mutual aid from Erie Valley 1. That Wilmot and Erie Valley and 1 Brewster call was all 1 run. It was early morning, we had a heck of a time. Beach City didn't turn a crew, Brewster didn't turn a crew, Wilmot didn't barely turn a crew, but 1 guy, and finally we got Erie Valley on the way. So we definitely apologize to who was sitting there waiting on an ambulance for sure. So, I mean, it happens. That's one of the downfalls of being a volunteer. That's one of the reasons we've been talking a lot about stipending, is to fix these problems. So it's really not as bad as it looks. I just want to throw that out there. I mean, one call was 3 departments, so. So some general information, I talked to the FEMA grant guy today. They are reviewing our FEMA grant. I know that personally. We got some emails from FEMA today with questions, which is a good thing. I'm not saying it's a guarantee, but it's a good thing. If you remember months ago I come over, they had kicked our FEMA grant out. The computer had kicked it out. The grant writer called me back. That's when we put the PACs on hold. He said there were some glitches and they were gonna review some of our grants, and they are reviewing Beach City's grant as we speak. I do know that in the next few weeks, they'll be announcing the first rounds of FEMA grants. We're gonna keep our fingers crossed if we can get that grant. We all know that'll be a lifesaver. That's 15 packs. We were only gonna try to purchase 8, obviously because of the cost. But that grant was for 15 packs, 20 masks, 30 bottles, and also for a new Cascade system, which is desperately needing replaced. Our Cascade is 30+ years old. We bought it used when we bought it, and I got a bill over there again where they're wanting to put more money into it, and I'm just waiting, because if we can get the new one, we're not gonna drop another dime into that old Cascade system. So that's where we're at with that. So now coming into the more hard part to talk about, when everybody loves when I come over here. So let's start with the siren. I know Franny hit me on the siren. We got a quote right now. We actually have 2 quotes from Staley's on the siren. The first quote is to add a second, Mark's pager into the box. As you know, we put one in there now. If we add a second pager into the box, somehow they will communicate with each other. It will allow the siren to go. It will not be, from my understanding, through a DTMF tone. It will actually be through a 2-tone from Red Center. They're saying this will work. It will allow us 2 functions with a pager, which will allow us to ring the siren for a fire call, and it will allow us to ring the siren from Red Center for a tornado, okay, which would cover everything we need to cover. That quote is $1,018 to do. That'll buy us a second UHF pager. It'll buy us the amplified base. It'll buy all the pieces and parts, and that costs the labor.
One thing, Bill, I want to ask you.
Yes.
Why all at once did something go wrong that it didn't work? I mean, it's worked for how long?
It quit working when we went to the Marks system. We knew when we went Marks that we were gonna lose our siren. We knew that. Wilmot, what's hurting us the most is Wilmot was able to get their siren up and going like this. They have a Federal Signal siren. We have a Wayland siren. So Federal Signal, if we would have a Federal Signal siren, we would be working the way we are now. The problem we have now is the Wayland siren will not distinguish the slower DTMF tone. There's no way to speed that tone up through Marks. The Federal siren, like Wilmot has, I believe, well, Brewster did away with their siren, it will distinguish that slower tone, and that's why Wilmot's is already working, and hence Beach Cities is still
So
not.
at $1,000, they guarantee it's gonna work.
At $1,000, they're telling me it will work. I'm not gonna tell you they will guarantee it. I will tell you that if we go this route, if it doesn't work, it's providing us an additional pager, which we could always have for a spare, which is good. That's why I'm recommending this route. I said they give 2 quotes. The other quote was almost 20, it was $23.50, $7.50. That's putting a Federal Signal controller in there. That'll allow us 4 functions, which we don't really need anyway. And the other downfall to that is if something does not go right, now we're stuck with this controller that does us no good.
Where do we put this thing? In our office
It'll
back
be in
here?
the box back here on the
Okay.
side. So that's the first thing I'm asking for. I'm recommending going with the second unification pager. So it'll be $1,018 from Staley's. You writing this down?
Yeah,
Because I'm gonna keep going.
I got it.
All right, so the other day we received a email from Staley's advising us that the Ohio Marks radios will require all radios on the system to have a link layer authentication by 2025. Now, I know you're gonna say that's 4 years away, but here's the problem. We have XTS radios that we took and we converted, which are the old Sheriff 800 radios. They are only offering this update until 22. After June of 22, we can no longer get the update, and them radios are out of service. That's 10 of our radios. So I'm asking we jump now. Number 2, I don't want to be the last one on the list to get this done. I don't like it any more than anybody. I come over with Deb last week, beginning of this, well, it's been last week. I thought that our APX radios that we got purchased through the grants and stuff would already have the link and we just have to upload it. It's not the case. We talked to Staley's, they don't have it either. So we have a total of 36 radios, that's 28 portables, 8 mobiles, 36 total, $138.75 per radio. It's gonna be a total of $4,995 to relink all of these radios.
And did you check with Debbie about the money?
I've already talked with Miss Debbie about the money. We are,
What was that total again?
for the radios alone was $4,995.
Thank you.
So
Do you-
far, we're talking 5,000.
On the radios alone, $49.95, and $6,013 for both.
For Staley's, that's what we're gonna need for Staley's. That'll include the siren, that'll include the radios. I got one more thing I'm coming after, and you guys knew this was coming. The other stuff's kind of a shocker, I get that. It's that time of year, we service our small trucks every June. It's time for the 2 ambulances and the grass truck. I'd like to go back to Liberty Ford. The old squad, I'm probably gonna send first. It's having issues. Every time we take it, it smells of hot oil severely in the rear end of that squad. I don't know what it's got going on. I do know if we don't get it taken care of soon, it's gonna lead to bigger problems. So I wanna take it first. There will be some additional money. It's not just gonna be an oil change, obviously.
Explain this just a little bit. Hot oil.
Okay, so when we take this squad out and we drive it, when we drive hot or we respond emergency, it's twice as bad. But even when we just do normal driving, when you back into the station, you know how like when you can smell hot brakes? It's just like that, but it's not the brakes. I think it's the pumpkin in the rear end. I think it's something in the rear end of the truck.
So it ain't oil getting on the exhaust pipe.
No, absolutely not. It is something internal in the rear end. It needs checked, and it needs to go soon because we're not going to be able to continue to run it the way it is. So I want to start with that one. As far as 136, the 2014 squad, I'm not aware of any issues. That'll probably just be a cut and dry oil change and back out. I do know 39, which is the brush truck, they told us last year that the brakes only had so much wear left on them. So I would venture to say we're probably going to be getting into a brake job on that. That's why I'm asking for the 1,500. If it was just oil changes, it'd be significantly cheaper, but there is some repair cost along with that. So grand total of what I'm asking for tonight is $7,513. And I apologize for such a big number. The 5,000 I was not aware of until last week.
You're worse than the police department.
Money to pay for this.
I'm teasing Bill.
I make a motion for the 7513 to cover all the costs that he's incurring here.
He's already okayed the money, Debbie.
Yep.
Second?
Bennett,
Yes.
Richards,
Yes.
McKinney,
Yes.
Bailey?
Yes.
And Schott?
Yes.
So as far as service, I'll go in a little bit more and I'm not gonna take too much more time. We agreed several years ago on the big trucks, we were only gonna service every other year. If you remember, we did it last year, so they'll be significantly cheaper this year. They will still have to go to Advantech to get pump tested. We can't get around that. I do have one valve I know that's an issue on the older engine. I'm going to have them look at that. We'll probably schedule that, I'd say late August, early September. But as far as money wise, I mean, maintenance costs, pending anything can happen at any time, but foreseeable future, this should be the biggest expense for the year, so. That's all I got.
How many people you got on the department right now, Bill?
23. I have 23 members, I have 14 EMS and whatever the rest, well, some of the EMS are not, 2 of the EMS are not fire trained, they run solely EMS. Everybody else is fire trained. And then, like I said, I got 2 paramedics, 1 EMR, and it'd be 11 EMT basics.
Thanks, Chief.
Yep.
All right, Chief Guy.
Okay, only a couple things tonight. The SUV has a headlight out on it again. Last time, we had to take down the Nix because it melted the connection, and it melted it again. So
Wait
it's
a
gonna
second,
go
what do you
back.
think's doing that? Because I caught it when it was out.
I have no clue, so I need to take it back down there and have them look at it and see why it did it. the
Something's
second
getting
time.
awful hot down in there to do that.
Yep, so I'm hoping they can
They should have checked that when you took.
Well, that was my thoughts.
Did you just say what?
They should have.
Oh, it sounded like you said shut up. And I couldn't picture you saying that.
So hopefully they get that fixed for me.
Yeah.
Um, I'll take it back down to them, since, give them a chance to fix it, see what the issue is there. Radars are coming up to be calibrated. I believe in August we'll be getting them calibrated again. I don't believe I need to come to you guys for that, that's a normal day-to-day operation expense. And then, other than that, I need an executive session for security. I forget what the exact term is. Should have listed that. Is going to be,
Security arrangements?
I believe so, I'm trying to read through this.
I make a motion that we go into executive session for security arrangements. 7:45.
Somebody second it?
I'm getting there, hold on a minute. Okay. Motion by Schott, second by McKinney. Bennett? Yes. Richards? Yes. McKinney?
Yes.
Bailey?
Yes.
And Schott.
Yes. Return from executive session at 8:02, no action taken.
Bennett? Yes. Richards? Yes. McKinney?
Yes.
Bailey?
Yes.
And Schott.
Yes.
Chief, do you need any money?
No, the fire department took it all night.
Well, I just thought I'd do that before I moved on. Oh, we have that VIN number for you too, or the contact people.
Okay, what do you need me to do with that? I just thought I was supposed to
You're
get,
supposed to get hold of, when are you supposed to get hold of Stephen?
Yeah, him and Steve are gonna work together to,
Stephen, Babbitt? Yeah, just go ahead and get a hold of him.
okay. Yeah, because I had Mark get that, Jim was able to get in, we don't have to be, so, sorry Debbie, I missed that at the last meeting and got your email last week on that, so I apologize.
And Jim got the guy's name and stuff if you want.
Yeah, I think Mark's got a record of that for me, or Sergeant Myers.
Okay, all right. Well, speaking of Jim, you're up, Mr. Spivey.
all right, water. I applied for the grant for the trench box, I'm waiting to hear back on that, the replacement trench box. I've gotten with a contractor to make the repair to the road in Wilmot. I'm not happy with the price, but it's about as good as I could get. I had a lot of trouble finding somebody to actually do it. So it's gonna be about $5,000. We're gonna do it possibly early in the morning, have it dug out and poured so that the road could be open as soon as possible in the morning. Not sure what morning, it could happen this week. I'm working with the guy to try to get that done. It'll be concreted too,
The
so.
traffic can flow going west but not east, can't come around?
We had, well, of course, we had a police officer there, but we did have 2 lanes of traffic going. But we had traffic control there, so as I get closer to that time, I may need to request for an officer to be there to help control traffic, so.
How big a hole are you talking about, Jim?
Uh,
4
it-
by 4, 5 by 5?
No, it's probably 8 by 12.
Ooh,
It was a pretty good size
oh,
hole.
I can see why you're talking 5,000 then.
Yeah, and it has to be 9 inches thick. If I would've done asphalt, it would've had to be done like in 2 or 3 layers, which would've been days. And then the concrete, they can do it and it sets up within a couple hours. And then you can drive on it within 4, so that's the
Does
route.
Miller themselves do anything like that that's working in town? Do they do anything like that?
No, it would
Okay.
cost us twice that to have them
Okay.
try to help us do that. I tried that once before. And like Brent told you guys, the County One lift station, I'm working with not the County One lift station. I'm working with the engineer to get it refurbished. But I also contacted the insurance company because I believe part of the repairs out there of resetting the switch gear, which was knocked off in the accident, getting that reset and hooked back up is part of the accident, so I've contacted the insurance to try to pay that bill, which was $11,000. Because we gotta do concrete work, new conduit, pull all new wire, get the meter and the switch, or the shut-off put back on the pole, get the generator hooked back up and running, and get everything hooked to the pump station. So it's $11,000. So I got with the insurance to try to get that paid for from them. I still haven't got a response from the EPA on our letter, our NOV letter, but we have done some work on getting the issues fixed.
When are we gonna take some of the stuff that's down there from the street stuff and start dumping it? Any idea? When we're gonna clean some of that up?
Yeah, so with all the stuff that we have going on right now, it's kind of hard to find the staffing to just drive the truck and haul that stuff out. We do need to do some hauling to refill our stockpiles of materials, you know, gravel and sand. But we're working on balancing time. Let's see. The storm pit, Brett also mentioned that. I got with the engineer on Friday, the grant writer. She's looking at options to help us get that paid for, to refurbish the storm pit and get it fixed right like we've been talking. I did get a price back on getting it cleaned out, and I've been waiting to get all this stuff together and waiting on some of that ARP money to come in to help.
Are you gonna try to
finance
put
that.
that generator permanently down in there? Or it isn't just sitting on something, didn't you tell me?
Oh, yeah.
That's part of the storm pit fix. I'm looking at possibly what they call a roof mounted pump, where the pump isn't actually in the pit, it's up on the surface, and the pump just siphons from the pit. So any maintenance can be done on the ground rather than going down in to fix the pump. It's similar to our County One lift station where the pumps are actually mounted on the surface. So that's what I'm looking at to get that fixed, and that helps us with grant funding to do it right, so.
I took him all around, John, showed him where everybody's on our lines.
Oh, okay.
If something ever happens.
And like we mentioned earlier, I might have told Bill, we did flush the hydrants. I think it was a week or two ago. And so we didn't have many issues with flushing. A lot of dirty water, and some took a little while to clean out, but because of the last flush, we kind of had an extended time between the last one and this one because of the work we did out here and stirring things up. Plus, we had the tower out of service, so we had a lot of things stirred up, so. But we did do the hydrant flushing. We are actually gonna replace this one in front of Village Hall here. I was hoping to do it this week, but I don't know if that's gonna work out. But that'll be the next thing we do out here. Street department, I sent in for the assistance on the property that we're having tore down. I'm waiting to hear back on that, if they will help us fund getting that building tore down. I'm waiting to hear back on that. I've contacted the engineers about our paving project, and like Brett said, we're waiting for a schedule. Being that we went into this so late, they're already booked up, so I don't look for it to be till later this fall for them to come in here. And the engineer's having a hard time getting an answer on that, when they're gonna come in. I did get some artwork done for the decals that you guys asked for on the vehicles. I have them here if you wanna look at them. And Debbie and I discussed this a little bit. She doesn't like the street department one, so I've asked the decaler to
Let me have it, Jim, and
Come up
I'll
with-
pass them around.
different artwork for the street department one. But I'm waiting to hear back on prices and stuff for that.
Bring them back then, I'll give them back to him then. He's not change this one here, because Debbie don't like what it is, which is okay. You're allowed to do that.
I can have my opinion, he asked.
That's right.
So, tomorrow's, so I'm still in the street department, which I would include the parks there. Tomorrow at 7, the CIC is having an ice cream social down at the park, and they're promoting to try to get some volunteers to help out. They're down on their board, I guess. They lost another person off the board, so they're looking for helpers
I wanna see
Same
that.
thing.
on the CIC,
Same thing.
people to help out.
I wanna see what Debbie doesn't like.
Oh,
That's at
same
seven,
down in the
right?
corner?
That's at 7 tomorrow.
Oh, this one.
That's what I said, it's the same one.
They're all the same except they just.
Yeah.
I
see.
don't like the water with the same
Right,
streets.
yeah. They have like a truck or something on
She'll
there.
have something else, they have all kinds of neat stuff.
Or a picture of Rick,
Tar.
yeah. Does have- yeah,
Well,
does have
that's
one
what I was
car.
just,
Yeah.
it shouldn't have water and electric.
Yeah, for the,
Oh, that's kind of a dangerous thing,
You just have
yeah. Yeah,
this
they could do the electric,
thing stuck in the water.
yeah.
plug it right in.
Thank you, Brandy. All right, electric, when we purchased that new digger truck, the Digger Derrick, it's a 2018, I think it is. It worked fine for the first couple of years, and then, we've had issues with it. The last 2 times we've taken it out to actually dig a hole with it, to set a pole, it doesn't work. So I had it back once, they bled some air out of the hydraulic system, and it worked for them, but then we got it here, it sat for a couple days, and we got it out to do another project, and it didn't work again. So, we took it back up, and they said there's it's like a release switch when you store the auger into its storage position. There's a switch that releases the hydraulic pressure so that you can't twist it and bend stuff, because it would just overpower and bend things. So it releases the hydraulic pressure. Well, that switch, I guess, was sticking, and so it's just bypassing, and it can't create enough power to drill. So we think we got it fixed. We haven't used it yet again to make sure that it's fixed, but it's gonna sit for a couple days, and then we'll try it again and make
So
sure it
if we
works.
can't, we gotta put a new switch there or just take it off altogether?
They said the switch is okay. They cleaned it and lubed it up because it was painted. And I think that's what was making it stick, because they just painted everything. They cleaned it, lubed it up. There was no charge for that because it's the place that we bought it from. So hopefully it works again. I just wanted you guys to know that. And hopefully you guys got the emails I sent you on some of the communications with our residents. That's what I was referring to. I just sent it, I think yesterday, maybe it was Friday. It was a peak alert from EMP. It was about what we learned there a couple weeks ago. EMP sends us peak alerts, and I think we explained that to you, how throughout the summer, when it's really hot and people are using a lot of electricity to run their air conditioners and things, our electric peak goes way up. And then the company that supplies us with electricity looks at that, and that's how they score us to charge us for the following year. So every year we go through 6 phases. There's a major one, and then there's 5 little ones. And each time they do that, they're looking at what we're using. And if we can cut our peaks, then it saves us money. So the whole problem with that is, how do you let the community know? And then, I think it was a couple weeks before that, I sent you guys a thing about what they call GoGov, which is a central system that we can send out a text message to anyone that signs up here at Village Hall. We can send them a text message alert telling them, hey, we're having a peak shaving day, or hey, it's Village Hall is closed today, or today's the day that you come in and get your heap. There's all kinds of things we can communicate with the community, and it would be through a text message, and all you have to do is come in and sign up. I know the school does it now for kids, for the parents that sign up for it. If there's a snow day, if there's an early release day, they just send the parents a text message, and everybody gets it simultaneously.
Actually, the satellite thing out there actually saves us a lot of time for that peak thing, doesn't it?
The solar system does.
Yeah.
Yeah. we talked about that last time.
Yeah, it doesn't look like I got it.
I didn't either.
Okay, well, I must have your emails wrong or something. They didn't come back to me, so. Yeah. Well, if you guys would all send me something, an email, then I can copy your email addresses and get it right. Franny, you go first.
Don't have one.
All right.
He's got his little fire on his building, he's got a blanket up
Smoke
there.
signal.
That's correct.
What is your email?
It's the Bill-admin, it should be on the business cards I gave you.
No, look at me.
I don't think I have one.
I'll make sure you get one, George.
Okay.
I don't either.
And I just got a phone call, or I just made the phone call today. Tentatively, July 14th. On July 14th, which is a Wednesday, HEAP is going to be here. And they're going to conduct their interviews to sign people up for HEAP. Hopefully this week sometime, she's gonna bring us the flyers and the packets that people can come in and pick up if they wanna sign up for HEAP. They will be here. She said she'd bring us 30-some of them. Hopefully that's enough. So people can come in, get their packets, have it pre-filled out. They can either bring it back here early or they can bring it to the July 14th date. She said she would be here all day. And
You're gonna be close to 30, because I've seen that many in there.
Would that be 7:30 to,
probably
7:30 to 4 then?
like 8 to 4 or something like that, yeah.
Okay, we'll make it 8 to 4.
Once I get, she's supposed to send me the packets and some information, that'll tell us more. We're gonna try to put it on the utility bills that go out the end of the month here, so that the dates are on there, so people are aware.
Have John put it on video too. You put it at the beginning.
Yeah,
That's okay, yeah, but that's good.
I'm gonna contact Mr. Cloa to put it on the website,
Okay.
and I'll let Steph do something with Facebook too, so.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much all I have at this time.
All right, thanks, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry, one more thing.
There we go.
The chicken barbecue was fantastic.
Thank you.
And if you guys are thinking of another date, I would say around the time we do garage sales.
So we go every other month, so we'll skip July, and I would say we're probably in August, which I think is garage sale, is it not? What,
Like the 20th and the 21st, I think.
Just don't make it the third Saturday, starting in the fall, okay?
yeah, we've talked to the Legion already.
Okay.
Yep, that was on us, we talked to them.
Right.
It'd be the 20th and 21st, the 21st is
I would definitely
Saturday.
bring that up. That's a good idea, thank you very much.
You know what day you'd have it? It'd be Saturday.
It'd be a Saturday, we always do the Saturday. And that's pending what the association wants to do, that's not my decision, that's up to them, so. But I will definitely bring it up, because that is a good idea.
Okay. We got our first mosquito spraying date, it's gonna be the 29th. I think they do that at 8 o'clock or after, something like that. And then, right. And I figure the next council meeting, we'll have it on the 6th instead of the 5th, so it'll be a Tuesday. Night, it'll be, that way everybody's on vacation, she's on vacation, he's on vacation.
Oh, it's a
Oh, you
holiday
mean you want it on
okay.
Tuesday?
We'll do it on Tuesday.
You're gonna have it on 7? Okay.
Oh, no, it'd be on the 6th, on a Tuesday.
The 7th is, oh wait, September, I got the wrong.
Yeah, the 5th is the
were you
holiday,
working
so
on?
the
I work till
6th.
6.
Oh, that's fine.
If you do Tuesday, John, I
Yeah.
won't be able to come over, that's our training night too,
Okay.
just so you know.
If you need anything, just let me know.
Yeah, that's fine, that's fine.
Pass them on.
Tuesday, July 7th, no, the 6th.
July
Okay.
6th.
Okay.
And then we got one that with the USI Insurance, they was wondering if we would have them come down and talk to us. We have the Ohio plan, but they could come down and talk to us. That would
In
be,
other words, you want to bid that insurance out again and have all those insurance people come.
Do we have any complaints about the one we have?
No.
And the cost is, competitive.
That, they are very competitive with USI, and last year, we didn't switch, or they didn't come in because there was a claim, and it still could be the same claim that we're working on, which is when the lift station got hit. So,
Yeah.
and I didn't think of that when the gentleman called, so when I tell him we're still working on an open claim, they may just want to wait again.
Unless somebody could really beat who we've
Beat
had.
'em up really bad.
Well, and when does this have to be decided?
This will be in August, won't it?
No,
Is it
August?
Yeah, I think it's like August
Okay.
13th.
Cause I know
August
at one
13th.
point we'd said no more of this up to the end of the.
Oh, that's what they,
deadline.
well, yeah,
Yeah.
these guys are actually going.
They're a little bit
And we're right
earlier,
now
but-
we're working on the new information of the Ohio plan for them. I mean, we're going over all the vehicles and the properties, and we're adding stuff, taking stuff on. So, okay.
All right, does council have anything?
I have something.
All right.
I was waiting on Hazel, but it has nothing to do with Hazel, I
Right.
just thought she might have it. We had discussed a couple months back about the whole thing with people filling pools and watering gardens and
Mhm.
calling down and saying, well, this is what it is, and then now this is what it is. And I thought we had decided to do away with that.
I think they did.
Well, it's all over Facebook now that all you have to do is call down and tell them.
That's
No,
just-
not, we haven't posted, it's other
No,
people,
that's
it's
just-
residents posting
That's
it.
for the pool.
Well, the pool, that, we got the ones that wanna water their flowers, they wanna give the,
How would you do that?
I don't know, I water today, and, but I don't go to my basement unless I have to,
Does it
so.
move?
Is it what?
Does it move, the meter?
I
mean, if you
don't
water-
know.
yeah.
I didn't check, I'm just
No,
kidding.
I
But I
don't-
thought we had done away with that and said we weren't gonna do that anymore, cause it was too,
As far as I know, all they were doing was, they're doing it for the pools, that's, I'll talk to Abby.
but I thought we had done away with all of it.
Oh, I don't think so.
If
I
we
think
do away with it and they,
Cause then they get the fire department to fill their pools.
Well, yeah, that's how, yeah, we got the fire department.
well, they were
Good.
paying for the water, all they were not paying for was the sewer on it.
Right.
That's why they read their things.
No, I understand that, I understand that. I thought we had decided not to do that anymore. I'll go back to them.
Okay.
Well, you know, I was gonna say, I could look too, because I don't,
If
I remember
thought-
talking about it, but I don't
Yeah.
remember what we
Yeah,
decided.
I think we decided not to do it anymore, and that they could get water from the fire department and pay them.
Yeah, and if you do it from the fire department, we don't charge you for the sewer.
Well, no, because they pay the fire department for the water.
Yeah,
And they run it through a meter.
Oh, okay.
it doesn't go through the water meter.
Yeah.
I just think it's, I just think it's,
I don't understand why people would even do that. They never even cost them no, but I mean, no, that's the way I am, I
Yeah.
guess. You know how guys
that
are,
was.
I'm gonna water some. Yeah, we'll find out, I'll find out. what-
Yeah, I thought we did too.
I thought so too, so, yeah, I'm lost on that one. Yeah, we'll have to figure it out. That's fine.
Bill, is the fire department engaging all the water that goes out in the tanker to swimming pools?
Is the fire department, say that again?
The meter?
The fire department is keeping track of every load of water we take, yes. And then we pay, I don't know if did we work out monthly, Jim? Did we?
Yes,
Okay, so we pay monthly what we consume, and then,
Okay.
yeah, it's
And
taken
then
off
you
of our
bill the
profits.
person who's full, you bill.
Right,
That
it's
ain't
a
from our
flat,
water loss, is it, Jim?
no.
Okay.
it's a flat rate that we bill, so that, I mean, the sewer is irrelevant. It's a flat, this much money for 3,000 gallon of water.
Right.
Yeah. I'll have to
And
find
a
out.
lot of people use us too, just because of the speed of it. I mean, you fill a pool with a hose is days.
Oh, yeah.
We can fill it in 10 minutes.
Yeah, we'll definitely check on that.
That
For sure.
was something that I had come
Yeah.
across. so.
Yeah, no problem. All right, anything else?
You got nothing?
Okay.
How much,